Kalalau Malak Yahweh, Wa Yahushai, Bahashem, Rachak Kudash, and double honors to the elders of GMS Ruel. Blessings unto those men, and blessings and salutations to the Akim out there in truth, pushing his word in all sincerity and in honesty. With that being said, Shalom Israel Barakatah. Today's lesson: no such thing as grays or little green aliens. Here we have an RT.com article that says, Trump orders Pentagon to release files on aliens and UFOs. The U.S. president has cited tremendous interest in extraterrestrial life hours after accusing Barack Obama of leaking classified information. U.S. President Donald Trump has announced he will order the Department of War and other agencies to release government files related to alien life because of tremendous interest. In a Truth Social post on Friday, Trump said the records marked for disclosure would cover unidentified aerial phenomena and unidentified flying objects, along with any and all other information connected to these highly complex but extremely interesting and important matters. Now, when it comes to government answers, they have always given the runaround as to their true origin. The answer that many seek upon these so-called UFOs is found upon the holy scriptures of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Now, there's no such thing as grays or little alien green Martians. And what many people are witnessing upon the skies are the identified flying objects of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. With that being said, let's begin in the scripture of Zechariah 5:1, which says the following. Zechariah 5:1. Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold, a flying roll. And the angel of the Lord showed unto Zechariah a so-called UFO. Now, during his time period, since there were no fancy words of terminology to describe what he saw flying upon the skies, he named it a flying roll due to what it resembled in his time. That's why the second verse goes on to say, here we have Zechariah 5:2. And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll. The length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Back then, they used to measure from the elbow to the fingertip. And that flying roll, in which Zechariah saw, measured 30 feet by 15 feet, which is a small spaceship compared to the humongous mountain-sized fathership of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Zechariah 5:3. Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. For every one that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side according to it, and every one that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side according to it. The curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth will be those identified flying objects of the Lord, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Those identified flying objects of the Lord are better known as his chariots. The one that has stolen lands, identities, and possessions is Esau Edom. Edom is the wicked according to Malachi 1:4 in the scriptures. Those identified flying objects of the Lord shall go forth over the face of the whole earth, and shall be a curse unto the nation of Edom and unto 2/3 of true Israel. These so-called spaceships or flying saucers in these last days will bring destruction unto the armies of the earth, but they shall also be for the salvation of the hopeful elect of true Israel, which consists of so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. You are the 12 tribes of Israel. So when the Lord returns, these so-called flying rolls that Zechariah mentioned will be the curse that will go forth throughout the face of the whole earth. Remember that the scriptures speak in code and in mystery, so it's not strange that Zechariah named it a flying roll in his time. He named it according to what it resembled in his time period as it flew by. So it's not so strange. A flying roll. Those chariots of the Lord that many know by UFOs, UAPs, spaceships, or as flying saucers are also known as clouds when it comes to the scriptures. Let's go over to Psalms 104 and 3. Psalms 104 and verse 3. Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind, who maketh the clouds his chariot. The clouds are the chariots, aka vehicles of the Lord, Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. The word chariot, according to Lexicon Strong's H7398 and H7392, means a vehicle to ride on. So in other words, the clouds, aka chariots, are the vehicle spaceships that the Lord and the angels utilize to ride among the heavens, among the stars. And there's an old movie documentary novel that's titled The Chariots of the Gods. And in that film, it speaks about the flying people, you see? But when it comes to these so-called UFOs, they are better known unto the hopeful elect as Israel's flying objects, or as the identified flying objects of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. The chariots of the Lord shall be used for the deliverance of the elect in these end times, and they shall also be used for battlement against the military forces of the earth. The Bible speaks of so-called UFOs in many of its chapters, and they have been around since the very beginning. They have been documented in famous paintings and have even helped in historical battles. For example, it's known that Alexander the Great was helped in battle by a so-called UFO, a chariot. Chariot, according to Lexicon Strong's H7398 and H7392, once again, who maketh the clouds a vehicle to ride on. Right, to ride on a so-called UFO. You see, these clouds speak of the Lord Yahweh Yahushai's identified flying objects, the IFOs. And when it comes to the scriptures, many of its chapters speak of these so-called UFOs, as in the case of Isaiah 66, 15 and 16, and in Revelation 19 and 11, and other scriptures. Revelation 19 and 11. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he doth judge and make war. The white horse represents the huge mountainous IFO of the Lord Yahweh Yahushai, according to the scripture of 2 Ezra 13 and 6 in the Apocrypha. That pure chariot of the Lord will return for the hopeful elect and will make war with the armies of the earth. This is the curse that will come on the face of the whole earth. And the true nation of Israel knew about the chariots of the Lord, because they sang songs like Swing Low, Sweet Chariot. But in these current times, the vast majority of Israel has forgotten what they are, due to the brainwashing of a modernized society. Now, most of the masses believe that we are being visited by little green and gray aliens. No, that's absurd. But when it comes to that white horse, it is better known as that mountainous-sized fathership of the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai. Back then, Elijah knew that these so-called UFOs were the chariots of Israel, and that the dark-skinned angels of the Lord were inside of those ships. And Elijah did not die. He was translated into the chariot of the Lord. He was beamed up into the chariot of the Lord. He was caught up. Revelation 19 and 14. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, white and clean. and the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses. Those armies that followed the Lord was an armada of angelic chariots. Right, the dark-skinned angels of the Lord were inside of them. The chapter of Ezekiel speaks of the wheels, and the scripture of Ezekiel 1:7 says, and they sparkled like the color of burnished brass. Right, burnished brass, dark brown color. So you see, there's no such thing as grays or little green aliens. That's what they want you to believe. But with that being said, Galala Malak Yahweh, Wa Yahushai, Bahashem, Racha, Kodash, and double honors to the elders of GMS Ruel. Blessings unto those men, and blessings and salutations to the Akim out there in truth, pushing his word in all sincerity and in honesty. With that being said, Shalom Israel, Barakatah. Shalom.